All right, thank you. Exciting opportunities in New Zealand, where we also work with New Zealand clients. Now it's up to us, CVA, so we'll give you a bit of overview on how to accelerate mining projects, more from a management perspective and more from a technical perspective, and how to unlock value at pace and scale. This should work. Oh, sorry. So, across the world, I think it's been said several times today, mining investment is accelerating, and when you look at it, you're around the top 18 companies are investing between around $70 billion per year, and we look at around $1 trillion in the next decade. So as we said, that's kind of new era compared to what we look at in Australia, for example. But here we'll talk about also accelerating because of the energy transition. Now, the challenge for the industry is that a lot of projects are facing not only overruns but delays. So if you think about the need of metals is accelerating for energy transitions, for green metals, but at the same time the projects, they're not really delivering behind. And the bigger the projects, the bigger the problem. Mega projects tends to be around 50 to 60 to 70% delay. So we've taken the numbers of them as well. One of the examples you had here is a greenfield recycling. That's an aluminium project in the United States, and you had a capex overrun of 60% and also commissioning delay by 1 year, not just because of the commissioning issues, but also because of everything which was done during the development of a project. So in our work with clients, we've seen the symptoms firsthand. We've seen FIDs sanctioned based on business case which were not that robust, or restricted to a couple of scenarios, not really looking at everything that could happen in the next 20 years of a lifetime of projects, or 10 years for shorter mines. We've seen project launched with funding, but still with too many options open. I think Michael talked about, spend time on the PFS, and we definitely see that, and we would agree with it. We've seen honest team, EPCM teams, EPC teams, construction contractor teams, vendor teams, all in one space, duplicating each other, and lowering the efficiency of a whole project. So we see people talking a lot in circles in some of the projects due to the duplication of the organization, something which is organizations which are very complex. We've seen also a lot of digital tools and applications involved in the projects with a lot of data, but sometimes we see also that this data is not screened, is not processed, is not really used for management decisions. One of the examples is on a mega projects, there were a report done by the EPCM, a report done by the owners team with different set of data, and reports done by the construction contractor. So different reports all over the place, and not really one source of truth to define the problems and therefore to find the solutions. The example I gave you are just symptoms, right? So the root causes have been studied at length by a lot of companies, firms. What we believe is the key root cause, the real root cause, is really at the bottom. It's really about the capabilities and how the project is set from the start. So the people, the system, the key strategic decisions, the alignment between the different partners, from shareholders for funding or banks, and also to the contractors and the supply chain. We've also seen successes, right? You have two examples here, one from mining and one for oil and gas. The reason we bring oil and gas is because their core problems on large projects like resource developments are really similar to the mining industry. So when you look at these together, these two projects have been very successful. One is actually in Australia. They have been done on time, within the schedule, within the budget. And it's not because the people who were leading the project under-promised, right? That's one of the tactics that you can do, is you under-promise and over-deliver. These have been done with a very challenging kind of development schedule and also budget as well, while cost escalation was still biting. Their formula for success was simple. They have chosen strategies embedded with discipline from the start. So at the development period, this is where there's a lot of things that these two projects have done in terms of decision, in terms of leadership decisions, to embed and organize the project so it can deliver further. Couple of examples on this: integrated teams. So instead of having different layers, like you have the owners, the EPCM, and the contractors, they took the best of the expertise from a different organization and they've done one team. It doesn't work always, but for these ones it did. They also, in terms of technology, they also use proven technology. They didn't really went into, let's try this one, let's pilot these new applications for productivity monitoring. They've done a lot of low-cost country sourcing, including modularizations. We discussed that earlier as well. And they reduced the customization. So while they were making the design, they had a strong partnership for some of the parts of the design with supply chain and vendors. And then they force a bit the design on what could be available or what could be fast to manufacture and fabricate in the workshops. And the last part is, on these both projects, they have a focus on productivity from day one. So modularization is kind of important, but the idea is like if you start with productivity as a mindset from day one, it's much easier after to go through the project, the life cycle, the engineering phase, and then the construction phase. So we want to be clear that these solutions are worth considering, right? Each project is different. The bigger project, the more complex and the different problems you have. And therefore, the idea is to choose the solutions for your projects in a very conscious manner in kind of strategy. The first step for us is we believe strongly that you need to build a vision. So when you have a project, you want to really try to picture how you want the project to run. That would be what we would call the project of the future, let's say the near future, because the next step is you can add robots, do remote constructions, like we have a lot of mines operating now remotely, but we believe it's going to take a bit of time before we go and, as I say, you have a remote operation robots. You have drones here on the near future of the near future project. You can have drones, I think, just in the booth behind. And so the near future project will be safer, will be more connected, will definitely be faster, and will be more predictable. And these are the key drivers that we see will drive this, getting faster the project out of the ground and then meet the demand. Having a vision like this is essential. And so, because the vision helps you to define the strategy and what you need to put in place to get your project successful as well. And these visions, when you form it at the start of a project, is for us a first main value driver. Personally, I've been involved in a lot of projects, and what we see is, at some point of time, like a firm like us, we are asked to come and try to recover the project in the middle of the construction when things are going badly. And when you do that, it's extremely difficult to recover. Our estimate is that you might have an increase of productivity of 10-15% when you are in the middle of a construction, let's say, or delivery. Whereas when you set these things in motion earlier, then the effect on avoiding delays or even accelerating your schedule are much higher than that. So we really encourage this. Developing the strategy first and then try to implement this. A second value driver when you define that at the start is really not to chase everything. So we've seen a lot of clients, they still try to chase everything, say, oh, we're going to push productivity on the delivery, on the construction there. We're going to implement new digital solution there. We're going to do this, do that. If you start spreading a bit your resources and your leadership attention, then you're going to achieve not too much at the end, especially when it comes to emerging application and technologies as well. When you take a decision on technology, and I can give an example on a lithium project when there was a decision to implement a new tool to look at the whole productivity. So basically to monitor the productivity of all workers during the construction, gather the information, put that in a report and send that to management. Well, by the time the decision was taken to do this, by the time the tool was there was already many other applications available and much more efficient and proven in the industry rather than that this one, which was actually a pilot. So we believe as well that it's necessary to really think about the strategy and how you can implement that, especially for projects that can take 5-6 years from, let's say, the concept phase to the delivery as well. Just as you see, we talk about prefabrication, modularization, and low-cost country sourcing. What we see in the industry is definitely advantages and value to look at this very holistically for every project. You have an example of a modularized press filter at the back over there. And we see still a lot of companies hesitant to go through it. But when you look at the results of this, modularization is one big key. It really accelerates the project when it's done properly, obviously. And a lot of low-cost countries have very strong ecosystem to build modularization at lower costs, but faster, which is what we want to advocate here, is looking at how you can compress the schedules. There are also low-cost countries sourcing for every kind of materials with IEC standards. China, India, Vietnam, and for some other more focus on furnace and casting for aluminium, for example, Turkey is also an emerging country. We see a lot of companies hesitant, but also we see a lot of companies that they don't have the systems in place and the organization and the operating model to manage this. So you can't manage this low-cost country modularization if you have a supply department who just can do tenders to different vendors and see the response and decide on the packages after that. You need a completely different organization as well. But that should be part of your strategy. So we want to give you two perspectives. The first one is on the portfolio. So if you have a company with a project portfolio, with kind of pipeline long term, here we talk about $1 billion investment, then we believe there are 3 imperatives that you need to look at in order to accelerate and de-risk projects. The first one, as we say, is to have a vision on how you want to deliver the projects. Here in this case, how you want to deliver the portfolio and articulate this vision in a strategy very early in the process. We see that the best place to start with that is the operators, so the owners, so the big mining companies, because they have a pipeline and they can decide where for these projects I'm going to bring this innovation, I'm going to make a test, and I'm going to probably improve it for the next projects and go on and go on. And I'm not going to bring everything on that project, it's too heavy. So they can make the trade-offs and the decision to do that. You have to believe in collaboration. The more you collaborate with supply chains, with the EPCM, we see better results into this as well. The reason is, as I say, if you want to go to modularization, it's important to establish partnership with a different ecosystem depending on the country you choose. If you just have a arm's length relationship with your vendors, then it's going to be very tricky to understand what the modularization will be able to bring in terms of value into your design, and then discuss your engineers to adapt the design so that modularization delivers on the promise. On execution, obviously focus on safety, but the idea is to think on this manufacturing line concept. The really successful projects are the ones that really move into more the Lego parts, where different parts are coming and then there's just assembly on the site, right? That removes a lot of work on site. It makes things much safer, and you can do that really at much lower cost, obviously, but this also reduces the schedule because you can manufacture off-site a lot of things. Now, not everything can be manufactured off-site, but the idea is to say, like, you need to maximize that as well. Most importantly for us is the capabilities. The capabilities have to be built on the long term. There's a lot of challenges still to bring the right people for the different projects, and even on the long term, like if you have a portfolio of 15 years. So we see that moving from training to academy concepts, moving from just arm's length transactional relationship to building also capabilities with your contractors and your vendors makes the big difference. Last point as well, we try to advocate as much as we can for the lessons learned. There's so many lessons learned process put in place as part of continuous improvement, but when you really dig into this, you see that the lessons learned is left on the shelf. So we think that's impairing basically to deliver more value on the project, especially when you have a portfolio. Now, just a quick diversion on AI. We have so many clients. I had a client asking 2 months ago, a global company, a vice president project, asking, Greg, have you seen any solutions, AI solution at scale on projects? And I answered, I don't know, not yet. And he said, yeah, neither did I. And also what he said is that he signed a contract of $1.5 million to develop a solution for project controls using AI, so something that can predict a bit better the cost and the schedules. And after $500,000 spent, then they just stopped the project. Because after $500,000, they couldn't even come with a proof of concept or something that would work as well. Our view on AI is, or anything digital, be very careful. There's a lot of things that are working very well. There's a lot of things that are not working very well. When you take a project, the first piece is to understand if you will have time to develop it during the project durations. So we have let's say 5 things to tell you. First, start with the real pain points. AI can really help you in simple things like transactions, accelerating everything related to transactions. Prioritize the long term. If it doesn't scale or sustain or can be sustained, then just forget about it. Ensure that it's reproducible across your project if you have a portfolio. Assess your data readiness. If your data is all over the place and you need a lot of manual manipulation, then AI is likely not to work. There's a big MIT article on this if you want. And assess also your workforce readiness. Any digital tool you bring is as good as people adopt it. Right? It's like the iPhone. So you take somebody iPhone, yes, immediate adoption. If you take something a bit more difficult, then it's going to take a lot of time. Once people are in the middle of delivery, there's no time at all to get their attention. On the project side of things, if you have a standalone project or project as part of a portfolio, then still the same. Focus on defining how you want the project to be run. Discuss with your partners, including shareholders, how you want to run it. Load the front end. As Michael say, a good PFS is probably the best lever. Get the best project as you can at the final investment decision. On delivery, focus on productivity every single day. There's a lot of projects that we see that, yes, we're going to do productivity, yes, we're going to incentivize the supervisor, etc. And then in the middle of a construction, after 3 or 4 months, everything falls apart. Leaders needs to be this behind every single day. And the last thing is on capabilities, build from previous projects. If you have a standalone project, go to very proven solutions. Sometimes it's better to have a bit of manual, manual processing rather than having a solution that doesn't really work well as well. All right, thank you very much for that. I hope it was useful. Happy to have any other discussions around it. And happy to see you around. I think we have some meetings around with people tomorrow, but if you have more questions about our experience or our advice, then let us know. Thank you very much.